Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the People Processes podcast. Let me ask you something. When was the last time an exit interview actually changed anything at your company? If you're like most employers I work with, the answer is never. You sit down with someone who's already got one foot out the door, you ask them why they're leaving, they give you some diplomatic non-answer about pursuing new opportunities, and then that form goes into a folder that nobody ever opens again. Here's the problem. It's not that you're asking the wrong questions. It's that you're asking the right questions at the wrong time, after the decision's already been made. Exit interviews are an autopsy, and autopsies don't save patients. HR professionals know this. This week, the biggest thread on Reddit's HR community, 350 upvotes, 250 comments, was HR professionals admitting that exit interviews are just box-checking exercises. The number one comment, 400 upvotes, said, "I genuinely question if exit interviews are even worth doing at all." Today, I'm going to walk you through why exit interviews structurally fail and why it's probably not what you think, the real math on what the turnover is costing you, and a 6-step system that replaces them. If you've watched our stay interview episode, which is our most popular episode ever, by the way, this is kind of a companion piece. That one tells you a little bit about an alternative. This one tells you why what you're currently doing doesn't work and how to build the full system. So, why do exit interviews structurally fail? Let me break it down to the 5 key reasons. And I want to be clear, this isn't about doing stay interviews badly. Even a perfectly run exit interview has these problems baked in, okay? So it's not, you just didn't do it right. It's that they're kind of stupid to do. Number 1 is a timing problem. The decision is already made. You're collecting data after the point of no return. By the time someone is in the chair, they checked out weeks or months ago. You wouldn't normally wait until a customer cancels to ask if they're happy with your service, right? You would do that before they cancel. There's a lot of things that where, if you think about, all right, they quit, they found a new job, that means months ago is when this thing happened. And now they're sitting in front of you, they're not going to spend the time to emotionally invest in that. They've already checked out. Part of that is reason number 2, the honesty gap. Departing employees protect the reference. That's just human nature. Would you trash your boss on the way out the door? Probably not. They give the safe answer. Better opportunity, career growth, relocation. The real reason, bad manager, broken promises, no growth, they stay hidden. And it's because they want that good referral and they don't want to cause a stink on their way out. Third reason why exit interviews just don't work. Even when you get good information, the data dies. Where does it go? Into a folder, maybe into an HRIS if you're lucky, into a spreadsheet no one opens. It's a narrative. No one's running a quarterly report, turning this aggregated narrative data into themes. Individual exit interviews are anecdotes. Anecdotes don't drive change. Patterns drive change. And you're not turning the exit interview into a pattern that you can act on. Fourth reason is the audience. The manager whose behavior caused the departure usually isn't in on the room. Even if they see the data later, it's sanitized, summarized, anonymized to the point of uselessness. The person who needs to hear it most hears it least. Reason 5, it's a one-time event. Exit interviews have no cadence, no follow-through loop, no accountability. You wouldn't check your finances once a year only when someone embezzles. You would check them as a KPI along the way. You wouldn't do your health checkup only when you're already in the emergency room. You need systems that give you information to act on before it's too late, not a one-off trigger by failure. So, if exit interviews don't work, and I think by now you can see why, what does? Let me show you what it costs first, because I think this math will make it a little bit clearer as to why you need to invest in something that's going to help prevent this. So, most employers dramatically undercount what turnover costs. SHRM and most research puts replacement cost kind of as a back of the napkin number at 50 to 200% of annual salary. Now, we have a great tool that we can use at roi.peopleprocesses.com if you want to check it out. It's not a call to action or anything, but it's got a great kind of calculator to figure out what these things cost you. But entry level, 50%, professional skilled, 100 to 150, senior or specialized, 150 to 200, and those are incredibly conservative numbers. So, if 5 employees leave this year at an average salary of, say, $50,000, a 100% replacement cost, kind of middle of the range, that's $250K. At 150, it's $375,000. That's not a people problem. That's a profit and loss problem. That shows up on your financial statement as costs and missed revenue, missed productivity, overtime for other people, people who are overskilled stepping down to do the role. Your manager's just going to pick up the slack. Other associates who aren't as skilled doing it, and more people having to double check it. I promise there is a major cost to turnover, and 50% of salary is a cheap number. 200 to 250 is much more common in today's information and kind of information roles. You also are missing things like institutional knowledge. When you lose an employee, they take everything they learned with them. You get a team morale hit. Remaining employees start questioning, should I be looking too? Your managers are now interviewing, training, babysitting, checking the work of the new hire, orientating them, getting the team back on track than before. Ramp up time. New hires take 3 to 6 months to reach full productivity. The day you hire them, they don't do anything, right? They take a little while to learn what's going on and to build and to work inside your systems. And there's a quality dip. During that ramp up, output quality drops, mistakes increase, and customers notice. And all that adds up. And the real cost is probably closer to the high end of the 200% range because of it, if not more. Because we're not talking about direct costs. These costs impact every part of your business. Now, here's what I want you to hold in your head. What if a 30-minute orderly conversation prevented even one of those departures? One prevented departure at $50K salary is anywhere from $25,000 to $100,000 saved for your organization. Your annual time investment is 30 minutes times 4 quarters, 2 hours per employee per year. 2 hours to save 50 to 100K. That's the math. That's the ROI. Not going to happen every year, but people, if you think of it this way, a lot of people change jobs nowadays pretty often, but let's say it's every 6 years. That's about how often people buy a house, for example. If you can take that from 6 years to 7 or 8, which would be lovely, just with those couple of investments, you've saved so much time and money. Okay? If you're in a rough shape and people turn over every 3 years, that means a third of your staff turns over, and you can move that to 4, now you're getting an extra 33% out of each person without that major turnover cost. The cost is very real. Let's talk about a system that can help you prevent this. It's going to be about 6 steps. Okay? I want to be clear. This isn't a tool, it's a system. An operating system for retention. You're replacing a reactive one-time event, oh my God, my leg is bleeding, I'm at the hospital, to a proactive ongoing system where you track your health metrics and you make sure that you're not going to wind up in the hospital, right? Managing HR in-house is overwhelming. That's why we built the People Processes Advisory System. Start with our free HR resource library. Get instant access to policies, guides, and compliance checklists. The templates are just the beginning. Run our strategic HR audit to scan all your key domains for your people processes. In just a few hours, we'll work through and identify your compliance gaps, and my team will generate a custom roadmap for you, meet with you, and show you exactly what to fix step by step, ready to execute. Use our toolkit to generate job profiles, deploy policies, track employee documents. You're not alone. You're backed by a 5-star expert team supporting over 10,000 employees nationwide. Be your team's secret weapon. Visit advisor.peopleprocesses.com to start your free account today. So here are the 6 pieces. Step 1, replace your exit interviews with quarterly stay interviews. If you watched episode 65, it's got about 58,000 views at the time of this recording. You know this tool. The quick recap is there are 6 core questions. It takes about 30 minutes and you do it quarterly. Where is the company heading and how does that land with you? Where are you heading? What do you want to grow into? What's going well? What part of your job is most satisfying? If you could fix one thing, if I could fix one thing for you, what would it be? How can I support you better? What's one thing I should do differently going forward? Just a couple of questions to get them in that collaborative mindset. This is going to catch problems 3 to 9 months before they become resignation. It's proactive, not reactive. That's the shift. If you haven't seen that episode, go watch it after this one. I'll link it down in the description. Then, step 2, you need to add 30, 60, 90-day new hire check-ins. Most turnover happens in that first 90 days. You spent all that money recruiting and onboarding, don't lose them in the first quarter. So, at each of those milestones, ask them what's going better than you expected, what's clearer than you expected, what's harder than you expected, and what do you need from me that you're not getting? That's it. 3 questions, 15 minutes at 30, 60, 90 days. Should be run by the direct manager, not HR. Could be the direct manager and the manager's manager, right? What you're listening for is confusion, isolation, mismatch between what was promised and what they've wound up experiencing. If someone's going to regret quit, you'll hear it at day 30. not at their exit interview 8 months later. That's when you want to hear it, so you can make some adjustments. Step 3, switch from exit interviews to exit surveys, anonymous. I'm not saying get rid of exit data collection entirely. I'm saying change the format. Anonymous surveys produce honest data, and interviews produce polished stories. So put 7 questions on there. Use the Likert scale. That's about, scale of 1 to 5. Check out manager relationship, growth opportunities, workload, compensation, and would you recommend this employer, right? Your NPS score. And then maybe 2 open-ended. What's the primary reason you're leaving, and what would have made you stay? The 3 manager questions are the ones that matter most. They kind of surface the patterns, and administer it online, anonymous, automated, and with kind of high visual exposure to the departing employee. So on the acceptance of their termination letter, on the in their termination packet, in their unemployment notice, in their COBRA information, put it there so you get the survey. It's really important. And now you're not looking for individual stories anymore. You're looking for patterns across departures. Then use that for 4 to build a departure pattern dashboard. Track every departure: date, name, department, manager, tenure at departure, reason, category, and any notes. It can be a spreadsheet. You don't need a piece of software. You can, and then review it quarterly at the leadership level. What you're looking for are clusters: same team, same manager, same reason. When 3 people from the same team leave in 12 months and they all cite lack of growth, that's not anecdotal. That's systemic. That's a manager problem or a role design problem. And now you have the data to prove it, and you can take action. Step 5, create a manager feedback loop with some teeth, all right? Aggregate those stay interview themes and exit survey data, put them all together. Present those to leadership with your cost of turnover math attached. Do that quarterly as part of your quarterly management process. That's what we do. And what I find is managers respond to data, especially when it has a dollar sign on it. If a manager's team has 2 to 3 times the turnover of peer teams, that's a leadership development conversation. It's not a punishment, but they got to figure something out. Your team is turning over faster than others. Let's figure out why and let's fix it. This creates accountability without, just feeling like you're being picked on. There's data to back it up. Finally, you need kind of some red flag triggers. Don't wait for the quarterly review if it's something urgent. Trigger 1, 2 departures from the same team within 6 months citing the same issue, right? Just automatic review. Trigger 2, stay interviews reveal active flight risk. So employee mentions interviewing, mentions being unhappy with something, non-negotiable. Put a 30-day action plan in place to try and see if you can correct that and keep that employee. Trigger 3, on that new hire 30, 60, 90-day check-in, see if it scores below threshold, right? If you've got something where they're very confused or they give you information, those are times to take action. That way you're not waiting for the fire, you're smelling the smoke, right? So either at the stay interview you take action, or the new hire you take action, or if you wind up with a trigger on those exit surveys. So 6 steps: stay interviews, new hire check-in, anonymous exit surveys, departure pattern, manager feedback loop, and red flag triggers. That's the system. That's what replaces the exit interview itself. Now I know what you're thinking, Rhamy, that's 6 things. I barely have time to do one thing that I'm already doing. That's fair. So I want to tell you how to lay this out. This is the actual implementation. Start with step 1 only. You do one thing from this episode, do the stay interview. You already have the questions from episode 65, or you can put them together from what we talked about here. Pick your 5 to 7 direct reports, schedule 30 minutes each, start this quarter. That one step will give you 80% of the value of this entire system, okay? Phase it in. And once you've kind of started that stay interview process, that's your first quarter. That's all you're going to do is stay interviews this quarter, okay? Quarter 2, add your 30, 60, 90-day check-ins for new hires. Quarter 3, switch to those anonymous exit surveys and start tracking departures. And quarter 4, build the feedback loop and the red flag triggers. In 12 months, you'll have a complete system, but you'll see results from those stay interviews within 90 days. You got 5 direct reports. You spend 30 minutes and once per quarter. That's 10 hours per year. That's a lot. I get it, 10 hours per year, but that's a day and a quarter to prevent potentially $100,000 in turnover costs easily. 30 minutes, not 30 hours. That's the barrier. It's nothing. Not to mention, it's good to get to know your people. So this week, not this month, this week, pick your top performer, the one you'd hate to lose. Schedule a 30-minute stay interview with them and use the 6 questions. Just listen. That's it. That's your first step. Everything else builds from there. Okay? Now, To make this even easier for you, we put together your exit interview replacement toolkit. It has stay interview question templates, the 6 core questions plus alternates, the 30, 60, 90 new hire check-in template, an anonymous exit survey, departure pattern tracker, kind of to keep track of all those people leaving. It has your red flag trigger checklist. It's completely free. Go to the link in the description, advisor.peopleprocesses.com, and you have to sign up. I know, I hate it too, but what we do is we put everything in there. You get that guide plus every other guide we've made, hundreds of resources, all for free. It also updates you right in the website when there's a new episode. Okay. If you want help customizing this for your organization, building it into your actual processes, training your managers, pulling the data together, that's what our advisory service does. And you can book a free 30-minute consult on that app. No pressure, just help. I'll be happy to talk with you directly. And if you haven't seen episode 65, the stay interview, go watch that. It's our most popular episode for a reason. It gives you the detailed playbook for step 1 of the system. Link is in the description. My name is Rhamy Alejeal. I hope this was helpful. If you got something out of this, share it with someone who needs it. Now, it's time for you to go out there, have a great day, and get your work done. See you soon.